SRIMAD Bhagavatam. Translated. Commentaries. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Canto 1, Chapter 9. The Passing Away of Bhishmadev in the Presence of Lord Krishna. Text 45. Thereafter, both men and demigods sounded drums in honor, and the honest royal order commenced demonstrations of honor and respect. And from the sky fell showers of flowers. Purport. Bhishmadev was respected both by the human beings and the demigods. The human beings live on Earth and similar other planets in the Bur and Bhuva group of planets. But the demigods live in the Svar, or heavenly planets, and all of them knew Bhishmadev as a great warrior and devotee of the Lord. As a Mahajan, or authority, he was on the level of Brahma, Narada, and Shiva, although he was a human being. Qualification on a par with the great demigods is possible only on attainment of spiritual perfection. Thus, Bhishmadev was known all over the universes, and during his time interplanetary travel was effected by finer methods than the futile endeavors of mechanical spacecraft. When the distant planets were informed of the passing of Bhishmadev, all the inhabitants of the upper planets, as well as of the earth, dropped showers of flowers to show due respect to the departed great personality. This showering of flowers from heaven is a sign of recognition by great demigods, and it should never be compared to the decoration of the dead body. The body of Bhishmadev lost its material effects due to being surcharged with spiritual realization, and thus the body was spiritualized as when iron becomes red hot when in contact with fire. The body of a fully self-realized soul is not, therefore, accepted as material. Special ceremonies are observed for such spiritual bodies. The respect and recognition of Bhishmadev are never to be imitated by artificial means, as it has become a fashion to observe the so-called Jayanti ceremony for any and every common man. According to authorized Shastras, such a Jayanti ceremony for an ordinary man, however exalted he may be materially, is an offense to the Lord, because Jayanti is reserved for the day when the Lord appears on the earth. Bhishmadev was unique in his activities, and his passing away to the kingdom of God is also unique. Text 46. O descendant of Bhrigu, Shaunaka, after performing funeral rites for the dead body of Bhishmadev, Maharaja Yudhisthira was momentarily overtaken with grief. Purport. Bhishmadev was not only a great family head of Maharaja Yudhisthira, but also he was a great philosopher and friend of him, his brothers, and his mother. Since Maharaj Pandu, the father of the 5 brothers, headed by Maharaja Yudhisthira, died, Bhishmadev was the most affectionate grandfather of the Pandavas and caretaker of the widow daughter-in-law Kunti Devi. Although Maharaj Dhritarashtra, the elder uncle of Maharaj Yudhisthira, was there to look after them, his affection was more on the side of his 100 sons, headed by Duryodhana. Ultimately, a colossal clique was fabricated to deprive the 5 fatherless brothers of the rightful claim to the kingdom of Hastinapur. There was a great intrigue, common in imperial palaces, and the 5 brothers were exiled into the wilderness. But Bhishmadev was always a sincerely sympathetic well-wisher, grandfather, friend, and philosopher to Maharaja Yudhisthira, even up to the last moment of his life. He died very happily by seeing Maharaja Yudhisthira to the throne. Otherwise, he would have long ago quitted his material body, instead of suffering agony over the undue sufferings of the Pandavas. He was simply waiting for the opportune moment because he was sure and certain that the sons of Pandu would come out victorious in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, as his lordship, Sri Krishna, was their protector. As a devotee of the Lord, he knew that the Lord's devotee cannot be vanquished at any rate. Maharaja Yudhisthira was quite aware of all these good wishes of Bhishmadev, and therefore he must have been feeling the great separation. He was sorry for the separation of a great soul, not for the material body, which Bhishmadev relinquished. The funeral ceremony was a necessary duty, although Bhishmadev was a liberated soul. Since Bhishmadev was without issue, the eldest grandson, namely Maharaja Yudhisthira, was the rightful person to perform the ceremony. It was a great boon to Bhishmadev that an equally great son of the family undertook the last rites of a great man. Text 47. All the great sages then glorified Lord Sri Krishna, who was present there, by confidential Vedic hymns. Then all of them returned to their respective hermitages, bearing always Lord Krishna within their hearts. Purport. The devotees of the Lord are always in the heart of the Lord, and the Lord is always in the heart of the devotees. This is the sweet relation between the Lord and his devotees. Due to unalloyed love and devotion for the Lord, the devotees always see him within themselves, and the Lord also, although he has nothing to do and nothing to aspire to, is always busy in attending to the welfare of his devotees. For the ordinary living beings, the law of nature is there for all actions and reactions, but he is always anxious to put his devotees on the right path. The devotees are therefore under the direct care of the Lord, and the Lord also voluntarily puts himself under the care of his devotees only. So all the sages headed by Vyasadeva were devotees of the Lord, and therefore they chanted the Vedic hymns after the funeral ceremony just to please the Lord, who was present there personally. All the Vedic hymns are chanted to please Lord Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 15:15. All the Vedas, Upanishads, Vedanta, etc. are seeking him only, and all hymns are for glorifying him only. The sages, therefore, performed the exact acts suitable for the purpose, and they happily departed for their respective hermitages. Text 48. Thereafter, Maharaja Yudhisthira at once went to his capital, Hastinapur, accompanied by Lord Sri Krishna, and there he consoled his uncle and aunt, Gandhari, who was an ascetic. Purport. Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, the father and mother of Duryodhana and his brothers, were the elder uncle and aunt of Maharaja Yudhisthira. After the battle of Kurukshetra, the celebrated couple, having lost all their sons and grandsons, were under the care of Maharaja Yudhisthira. They were passing their days in great agony over such heavy loss of life, and were practically living the life of ascetics. The death news of Bhishmadev, uncle of Dhritarashtra, was another great shock for the king and the queen, and therefore they required solace from Maharaja Yudhisthira. Maharaja Yudhisthira was conscious of his duty, and he at once hurried to the spot with Lord Krishna and satisfied the bereaved Dhritarashtra with kind words, both from himself and the Lord also. Gandhari was a powerful ascetic, although she was living the life of a faithful wife and a kind mother. It is said that Gandhari also voluntarily closed her eyes because of the blindness of her husband. A wife's duty is to follow the husband cent per cent, and Gandhari was so true to her husband that she followed him, even in his perpetual blindness. Therefore, in her actions, she was a great ascetic. Besides that, the shock which she suffered because of the wholesale killing of her 100 sons and her grandsons also was certainly too much for a woman, but she suffered all this just like an ascetic. Gandhari, although a woman, is no less than Bhishmadev in character. They are both remarkable personalities in the Mahabharata. Text 49. After this, the great religious king Maharaja Yudhisthira executed the royal power in the kingdom strictly according to the codes and royal principles which were approved by his uncle and confirmed by Lord Sri Krishna. Purport. Maharaja Yudhisthira was not a mere tax collector. He was always conscious of his duty as a king, which is no less than that of a father or spiritual master. The king is to see to the welfare of the citizens from all angles of social, political, economic, and spiritual upliftment. The king must know that human life is meant for liberating the encaged soul from the bondage of material conditions, and therefore his duty is to see that the citizens are properly looked after to attain this highest stage of perfection. Maharaja Yudhisthira followed these principles strictly, as it will be seen from the next chapter. Not only did he follow the principles, but he also got approval from his old uncle who was experienced in political affairs. And that was also confirmed by Lord Krishna, the speaker of the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. Maharaja Yudhisthira is the ideal monarch, and monarchy under a trained king like Maharaja Yudhisthira is by far the most superior form of government, superior to modern republics or governments of the people, by the people. The mass of people, especially in this age of Kali, are all born sudras, basically low-born, ill-trained, unfortunate, and badly associated. Therefore, they themselves do not know the highest perfectional aim of life. Therefore, votes cast by them actually have no value, and thus persons elected by such irresponsible votes cannot be responsible representatives, like Maharaja Yudhisthira. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 9th chapter of the SRIMAD Bhagavatam, entitled The Passing Away of Bhishmadev in the Presence of Lord Krishna.